E-commerce is one of the most hyped words in online businesses nowadays. I know that there are thousands and thousands of tutorials to teach you how to build AI support agents for it. But have you actually thought about how you would deal with, thousands and thousands of items being added or changed in your database every day? Do you just manually go to spreadsheet and change them, every day? Of course not. So today I'll be showing you how to set up a Make.com workflow so it will automatically add or adjust the items being changed in Airtable to the knowledge base in Voiceflow. Okay, so let's get straight to it. So we are at Airtable at the moment, and this is a really simple kind of like a sample e-commerce product database that you have on Airtable, right? You've got the product name, and let's say we're selling pens. You've got different names of the pens. So you've got executive fountain, everyday comfy. You've got categories, so fountain pen, normal pens. You've got the product ID. You've got product description, right? And then you've got the price. And this is just a last modified field that you can add in Airtable. So it will automatically populate the last time and date that this row was modified. So for example, this row of executive fountain was last entered in 10th of January 2025 at 11 p.m. right? So it's very simple Airtable. So the goal is that if we add, let's say XYZ in here, right, and add a new entry, the goal is that within Voiceflow knowledge base here, I want basically whenever I add items in Airtable, it will be reflected in the knowledge base, right? It will automatically update the knowledge base and add records within knowledge base in Voiceflow without having to actually manually enter all these information from Airtable into the knowledge base, right? We have to set up some sort of automatic workflow for it to work. Well, how can we do that? Well, if you haven't tried it out and if you are a beginner AI automator, I highly encourage you to try it out yourself. Hint, use Make.com and set up some sort of API request, right, from Airtable to knowledge base. That's my hint for you. Now, pause this video and actually try it yourself. And once you've done it, and once you've tried yourself or you're stuck, continue to watch this video. Okay, so we are at Make.com. Hopefully you've given it a try. So, well, the first thing we need to do obviously is Airtable, right? Because we want to send data from Airtable to Voiceflow. So we can do Airtable, search records, right? So I have already set up my Airtable token or key connection, which it just requires your personal access key. If you're not sure what that means, watch this video where I've broken down the basics of Airtable and how you can set up your own personal token. Should be linked in the description. You can go watch that. I've made that 1-hour tutorial. But assuming you know what that is, then you should just add your own Airtable token or key, right? And you should select your base. For me, it's Voiceflow integration. And from here, I can select the table that I want, which is table 1. Now, as you can see, view, which is grid view, that just means that this is in the tabular format, right? It's in the grid format, so we just choose the grid view. And then we select all of the output fields, name, category, ID, description, price, and last modified. And limit, let's just put a very high limit. That's just the maximum number of records to return, right? So we just put a really high number here. And formula, we basically want to return or search all the records that are non-empty. And the way to do that in Voiceflow is not product, I can type product name, right? That's the field, equals quotation mark. So product name is just a variable, right? So you can see here, that's the field name. So if the field name is empty, right, that just means product name equals to quotation mark. This is just an empty string and not of that. So basically saying that we search the records if product name is not empty. So we basically search all non-empty records, right? I hope that makes sense. So press OK. Now, if we just run this, let me move myself. As you can see here, you've got different bundles, you've got output, you've got your product ID, you've got description, you've got price, right? You've got product name, etc., which is exactly what we want. I might just go ahead and delete that record first. Delete record, yeah. Okay, so we finished that. Great. So now we have all the information from the Airtable records, and now we want to pass it on to Voiceflow. And the way to do that is we want some sort of JSON formatting in order to be able to send data through an API request, right? That's just the standard format. So let's go ahead and add another module and call it create JSON, right? Choose the data structure, which I already have defined, which is my data structure. Or if we want to, just to show you guys, let's call this e-commerce, right? And we click generate. And the sample data, what the sample data is, if we just quickly unlink this and just run this again. The sample data can actually be found by pressing this download button. So if you just download output bundles, right, which is the product description and the fields that data from our Airtable, right? So download output tables. From here, we can see that we have this JSON format. So we just go ahead and copy this, right? And then close this, and then in create JSON, we just paste this in here, right? And now go ahead and click generate. Now we have different fields, we have product ID, we have like description, etc. So what we're going to do is just rearrange it so the order of these fields actually match the order in Airtable, right? So with product name, category, product ID, description, price, and last modified. So let's actually do it that way. We don't need IMT index, we don't need link, we don't need created time, we don't need ID, we just need these, right? So technically we don't actually need last modified as well, so I'm just going to head and delete that. And we have product name in the first field, right? So I'm just going to move that up, and then we have category. So I'm going to move category up as well. Oops. And then we have product ID and description. For product ID, description, yeah, that's exactly the order there is. So we just click save. And now we just need to match the variable, right? So if we just quickly connect these two, and let me just refresh this, right? Now from here, now it should be refreshed. Exactly. So we've got the data from the Airtable, so we just need to match these kind of type of fields, right? So we just need to match product name, which in this case, executive fountain, just drag it and put it in here. Category, we have from here, product ID, product description. You get the idea, right? So price, now we click OK. Now if we just run this really quickly, you can see here, we've got two operations and we've got the bundles, right? In JSON format, basically, right? Which basically we've got a JSON string, which is exactly what we want, right? Now we've got this in JSON format. Now what we want to do is actually send this to OpenAI. Sorry, we actually want to send this to Voiceflow, right? So to do this, we do an HTTP request, right? HTTP request. And this is where the fun comes in, right? So the URL can be found in the Voiceflow documentation. So we just go from here, advanced knowledge base. So this is the URL. Don't worry guys, I will have that link in the description so you can follow along. Now, what are we trying to do? We're trying to add a knowledge base to Voiceflow, right? That's the goal of what we're trying to do. So to do this, we basically just need to do file upload, right? Which is what we want. And if you read here, you should be familiar how to do API requests by now. If you're not sure about how to do this, again, there's a link in the description where I've done a 1-hour tutorial on lead capture where I've told you, broken down really simply how to do API requests and how to do API requests between Airtable and Voiceflow. So you can go watch that video with the link in the description. But for now, we literally just copy this URL, right? And then we'll just go back to make.com, paste that, and we're trying to do a post API request because we're posting the records from Airtable into Voiceflow. And for headers, it's pretty standard for API requests. So we're just going to do authorization. I missed an A. Yep, authorization, and the value would be my Voiceflow API key. So if we just go back to Voiceflow, if you go to widget, if it loads, we go to API keys, and then we just copy this, right? So we just go back to make.com and we paste this value. I'm going to change this, by the way, so it doesn't really matter if you use this. I'm just going to delete this. So, and for the second header is, we're going to use content type, right? Just literally copy what we have here, content type, and the value would be the multi-part. Actually, you know what? Sorry, it should be table upload, not file upload. Sorry, I've been in the wrong. I was doing the wrong URL, so it should be, yeah, table upload. And the value for content type should be application JSON. Yep. And the body type we want raw, and content type is JSON, obviously. And now the request content. Now, this is where it gets tricky, but just follow along, right? So if you go to the advanced knowledge base, you've got the data, right? You've got the name of the products, you've got the schema, and you've got the items. And you should also get something called metadata, right? So metadata, let me just show you really quickly. You can see here. So metadata is literally just data about data. And don't worry too much about it. The reason why we also want to add metadata is because it makes it easier for us when we use Voiceflow, make it easier for us to query the exact record that we want, because metadata is just data associated with data. So for example, in an e-commerce store, you can think about if we have a particular item, right? The metadata might be about its price, its availability, is it out of stock or not, right? So that's what metadata is. So for now, I just want you to copy and paste the kind of template in JSON, which would be, just bear with me in a second. Okay, so I don't want you to get too overwhelmed. This is literally the same structure that is in documentation. You could go ahead and go look in the documentation, but essentially we've got data. We've basically got data. We've got the schema, which are the searchable fields, which is product name, category, product ID, description, price. We've got metadata fields, and we've got product name, etc. It's basically the metadata fields to match the searchable fields. And we've got the name, which is the product name. And here we just need to input the JSON string, right, from here. And yeah, that should be it. So we can now test this, right? If we run this, nice. So code 200, which is always nice. Basically, if you didn't know, code 200 means the request has been successfully sent. So if we just go back to the knowledge base in Voiceflow, if we go to knowledge, see, it wasn't here before, but it's now been added. So if we click on one of these, you can see the chunk, product name, you got the category, product ID, etc. Nice, which is exactly what we wanted. So you can see how now we can use this make.com workflow. We can update the records, the product records that we have from Airtable, from database, to a knowledge base in chunks in Voiceflow, right? But how do we do this when you might say like, well, if my product here got updated, or like if new products got added into these database, does that mean that we have to run this every time from scratch? So like we have to add, so like let's say we have 2 items. If we have the 3rd item, does that mean that we have to add all 3 items and replace the 2 items that we have in knowledge base again, right? Because you can see this is the problem, because if we have 1,000 of these items, that means we have to run through these. Basically, we have to add these 1,000 items again from 1 to 1,000 into the knowledge base again, right? Which is not what we want. We want a more friendly solution, right? Because if you've done computer science before, you know that time complexity is linear with the number of items that you have, right? Which is not what we want. We want a solution that's able to just retain what we have, currently what we have, and just add that extra item that we add in this Airtable, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So the way to do this is we actually just need an Airtable watch record. So we just go here, Airtable watch records, right? And we just use the same API token or key connection. VF integration, the same base, the same table, all right? Trigger field. So what this module does is that it basically keeps watching the table, right? Kind of like triggers in Voiceflow. So the trigger field is whenever this field has been changed, it will trigger this workflow, right? So we go last modified, right? Because that's the type, last modified, and the label field is last modified. So the limit is, let's say 2000, and we have grid field. And again, we have the same formula, right, as before. And click OK. And we want to have this schedule basically every 15 minutes, right? And if we just move that scheduling from here to here, let's say at regular intervals, yep, on demand. On regular interval, let's say 50 minutes. Okay. And now we just need a set variable. Just bear with me, you will understand why I do this in the first place. Now we want, let's call variable all products, and let's set this to false, right? And we have two parts. So in the first case, remember from this here, if we just literally copy and paste this, right? If we just go Shift, Command C, Command V. So this JSON already contained all the information that's already in the Airtable, right? So we want when the workflow kind of runs it the first time, we simply want to add all the information that we already have from Airtable to Voiceflow. So we just need to set up something called router, right? Router, yep. So we'll just delete this, right? And we just simply connect the two and connect the two, right? So we can put this, we have two conditions, right? So if we set up the filter, so condition, then we go through here. And for here, we just basically set up if it's true, if all products equals true, right? Right, so actually, let me just refresh it. Let me just save this and refresh this simply because the variable name is not showing. Now, if we just go back to, okay. I need to basically replace the audio variable again and category, product ID, product description, and price. Right. And everything is the same. Nice. And from here, the label field should be product. But let's, yep, nice. And now the variable should be all products is true. So basically we set all products to be false, right? So the first time we'll actually go through this and simply add all the records we have from Airtable into Voiceflow knowledge base. And the second time it will go through here once an item is added and go through this route here and basically search for all the records and create a JSON, right? And basically send an HTTP request to the Voiceflow knowledge base. Now let's actually test this. Let's say I shouldn't do this, but for the sake of this, let's just put some random words in here. And as you can see, the last modifier has been changed. And now if we just run this, because I don't want to wait for 15 minutes, let's actually just run this. Wait. Search records is not accessible. Okay. So if I just quickly, nice. And now if we just run this. So the first time it will go through this route, right? And then if we just refresh, as you can see, like the third item has been added essentially. So yeah, this is it. This is basically how you could automate the entire process of basically when you have some items, new items added or updated in Airtable, you can set this up as a trigger. So every time something changed in the records in Airtable, you'll automatically also change the knowledge base within Voiceflow. So I hope this helps. And if you enjoy these kind of tutorials and builds, let me know. So if you have any questions, comments, let me know in the description below. And if any builds specifically you want me to go through, let me know in the comments as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Before you go, watch this. My name is Edwin. I'm the founder of Legacy AI, alongside my friend Champion here. That's his real name, by the way. And together we offer voice-based and text-based AI solutions like the one you're seeing in this video to other businesses to help them save hours and hours of time and thousands of dollars spent on manual service tasks such as appointment scheduling, CRM integration, lead generation, etc. And if you're a business owner and you're interested to see how these AI solutions can help transform your business and improve your bottom line, follow the link in the description to book a free consultation call with us today.